In 1954, a U.S. Marshal is sent to a remote psychiatric institution to investigate the disappearance of a patient. What he finds is a spider's web of manipulation, murder, torture, and conspiracy. Or maybe not. Maybe it's all in his head. Maybe he's so damaged by his past that this investigation is a cover-up in his own mind. Maybe, just maybe, we should discuss the film and find out for ourselves on today's episode, the 2010 Martin Scorsese psychological thriller Shutter Island. I'm Connor Eyzaguirre.
And I'm Austin Johnson.
And welcome to Filmgazm. A very happy Wednesday to you, dear listener. If you're new to the show, this is the Filmgazm podcast, where me and my esteemed partner in crime dissect and discuss 2 movies a week. Horror movie on Wednesday, non-horror on Friday. Today's choice, a divisive film that some call one of Scorsese's best films and others call a tragic misfire, Shutter Island. A film I have tried to like many times and just can't do it. Sorry to fans of the film out there, but I have already made a decision on this one. Just
not for you, yeah.
Just not for me, and I love everybody.
And totally understandable. I think everything that Scorsese has done this past decade is totally up for debate. Shutter Island, Wolf of Wall Street, Silence, The Irishman, all these movies. If you went one way or the other, I'd totally understand.
Yeah. Well, this one, I want so badly to like it because I love everybody involved. I love Scorsese. I love the idea. I love the tone, but I can't get there. I just can't. I don't like it. And I feel bad that I don't like it. I should like it.
Yeah, it definitely has like all of the, trademarks that you would love or that I would love. Leonardo DiCaprio, Mark Ruffalo. It's got a lot of horror elements. John Carroll Lynch has a really cool performance in it. There's all kinds of people pop up. And you would think, because of the tone and because of the way it was marketed, you would think we would absolutely love it. But the ending especially causes so much conversation, so much debate. Is he insane or is it all, what's going on? That's tough, but I think the journey to get there, I think the music's really good in it. I think the performances along the way are really good. I think the production design is really, really good. And at times it's pretty fucking spooky. And it checks those boxes for me. And it kind of holds a special place for me because it was the first R-rated movie I saw in theaters. I was 15. This came out in 2010, so I was 15. And my dad took me to see it, and it just, I was like, wow, this is amazing, like this kind of caliber film I'm able to see, in theaters now because my parents thought I was old enough. It was cool. I'll never forget that was the first movie. So it'll always, hold a special place in my heart. I've owned it for years now, but I definitely understand the flack it gets and the kind of confusion that people have. Like, what's the big deal about it? I totally get it. I'm not someone who's going to be like, oh, if you don't like this movie, you're dumb. I just think that's a silly way to think. And I think that's the way all of his movies are this past decade. They're just kind of, you and I agree that The Irishman just didn't really hit us as hard as everybody else. I know you're not a huge fan of Silence.
Nah.
The Wolf of Wall Street has this like extremely audacious and weird soundtrack that throws me off completely, but is filled with great performances. So it's interesting, man. And this guy's looked at as one of the best directors of all time. So I'm really excited to kind of dive into this movie today.
Oh, for sure, man. Before we get there, I've got one update for you on bonus episode 2, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark.
Wow. Okay.
An upcoming sequel was announced with director Andre Overdahl and screenwriters Dan and Kevin Hageman returning.
Yes.
No word yet on whether the cast will be returning, but I would bet, the first one left it pretty open for a sequel. And I'm excited. Scary Stories is one of the best surprises of 2019, and I cannot wait for more.
Yeah, truly one of the most terrifying moments of 2019 took place in that film. Yeah, definitely check that one out. Yeah, if you like horror at all, that one kind of slipped through the cracks a little bit, but super excited to see what unfolds.
we talked a bit about, I don't remember what episode it was, but we did talk about how 2019 was not a great year for horror films. It was kind of, it was hit or miss, more miss. Scary Stories is one of those ones that hit. That movie was creepy as shit.
Yeah. Yeah, man. And we got to see that one together. That was a fun one. We kind of, we both knew like, hey, yeah, this could be a miss. We knew that going into it. And it's just such a rewarding feeling when you leave the theater like, holy shit, that was actually pretty good. Yeah, that was a fun one, man. Yeah.
Absolutely. So we already know you picked Shutter Island because it's a special film for you. It's your first R-rated movie seen at the theaters.
Yeah.
My personal experience with Shutter Island has been kind of I forgot about it for a while. I saw it in 2010 with my grandpa.
Saw it in theaters, yeah?
I did. I saw it in theaters, and I was kind of like, I was in for most of the movies. Like, this is creepy, this is neat, and then the twist happened, and I was out. I was like, no way. It completely erases everything I liked about the movie, and then I just kind of cast it aside. And then one day, I was at a Blockbuster Everything Must Go sale. And I got Shutter Island for like $2. And I didn't watch it. I just put it on the shelf. And I didn't take it out until this podcast.
Yeah. So I knew you had a awkward relationship with it.
It's one of those, it's the movie. It's a movie I want to like, but every time I try to watch it, I'm like, oh yeah, this is why I don't like the movie. It's like a friend. It's like this guy, that everyone says like, oh, that's so cool. You got to meet this guy, and you meet him, and he's a prick. And then you don't meet him for 10 years, and then you go to talk to him, and you're like, oh yeah, that's why I don't hang out with you.
Yeah. Oh yeah. If I'm not mistaken, I think I'm not a fan of the other 2010 movie that Leonardo DiCaprio appeared in, Inception.
Yeah, I don't like that movie either.
Yeah, that one to me was a huge letdown. And then Shutter Island was like, all right, that was cool. For me anyway. But I remember that was a big year for Leo.
Oh yes, Inception. We got to do that on the show sometime just to try to unpack that motherfucker. But I've never liked Inception. I find it very strange, hard to follow, and I do not like the fanboys, the people who call Inception the greatest movie ever, and if you don't get it, you're a goddamn moron. I hate that. That movie carries a stigma because of that.
Yeah, well, it's like Inception, when it first came out, it was cool to like it because it was like, oh, dream within a dream, man, it's out there. And then it became not cool, and then it was cool. Like, I don't know. I don't really know what people think about it now, but I've never really been a fan. Like I said, Shutter Island from that year anyway was the one I remembered, and that's kind of crazy. I think a lot of people would think the other way, but and I do think, I don't want to just talk, Leo, we're going to talk about the other people, but I think Mark Ruffalo gives a really cool performance here. That's a little bit understated, underrated, and that seems to happen to him a lot, where he just gets kind of overlooked because he's just consistently working and doing all kinds of roles. And as we unpack this, he's awesome in this, man. What he has to do is really cool.
I think this film is some of Ben Kingsley's best work in years.
Oh, dude. Oh my gosh. Frightening.
Oh, for sure. But then again, it's not frightening once the twist.
Yeah.
The twist really kills everything that comes before it, and this movie is suddenly a completely different film. And we'll get there. So
yeah.
Shutter Island was based on the 2003 novel of the same name by Dennis Lehane, who also wrote Mystic River, Live by Night, Animal Rescue, and Gone Baby Gone, all of which were made into films as well. And you said you read the book, right, Shutter Island?
Yeah, I read it shortly after I saw the movie. So yeah, it's been years. But what I remember is it was very similar, and I actually looked up some stuff about it. I was like, what were the differences? And there are some differences, towards the end with a twist. And the main thing that's different in the book, from what I remember, is you don't necessarily feel sympathetic towards Teddy Daniels, the main character, and then with Leo, it's kind of like, that's tough, it's makes it a little more difficult because you're kind of like rooting for him,
Yeah. Well, like you said, Leo has this likability about him that he brings to all of his characters, minus one, and we all know who that is. But
Yeah, but I love that. I love that performance.
that character is such an evil piece of shit that you can't help but be mesmerized by him.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean that one and Hans Landa are like, come on, man, like those are just such evil, menacing, but they're like hilarious, and I want more.
Yeah, we're talking about Calvin Candy and Django Unchained, by the way, the most evil son of a bitch that Tarantino ever created. But I don't know, him and Landa, that's a racist contest I would not want to have to choose between.
Oh yeah, well yeah, I mean you got yeah, that's a whole different debate.
The evil slave owner versus the evil Nazi. Who do you?
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
But goddamn, there's some good performances.
Yeah, man. Oh. Shutter Island was directed by Oscar-winning director Martin Scorsese, one of the living legends of modern cinema. His resume speaks for itself. On the show, I think the only Scorsese we've gone in depth on was The Irishman.
Yeah, but unfortunately.
We've also brought up Taxi Driver and The King of Comedy as major influences on Joker, our 8th bonus episode. He finally won his first and only Oscar to date for directing The Departed, but he has also been nominated for directing 1980's Raging Bull, 1988's The Last Temptation of Christ, 1990's Goodfellas, 2002's Gangs of New York, 2004's The Aviator, 2011's Hugo, 2013's The Wolf of Wall Street, and 2019's The Irishman. And that's just scratching the surface of this man's filmography. This man has been doing incredible work since the 60s, and he's still working, man. Still delivering incredible films. I barely tapped into his filmography. I have to just take a Scorsese month.
What's the first one that you think you need to see that you haven't?
The first one I need to see is Mean Streets.
Oh yeah, that's in like my top 3 or 4. Yeah,
I haven't seen that one, and that I think the second one I really want to see is Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore.
Yeah, I need to rewatch that one. It's been a while because I actually went back maybe 3-4 years ago. I did like a Scorsese sort of like, oh, let's try to see as much as I could.
Oh,
and
sweet.
And honestly, my favorite thing he's done is the Last Waltz documentary.
Yeah.
From the late 70s. Just breathtaking. His like understanding of the big picture and what was happening in music and how it was going to change in the 80s. Yeah, it's just, amazing. But like normal movies, yeah, dude, Taxi Driver. I mean, we've talked about Goodfellas plenty. I think it was on your 90s list, right?
Yeah, that's easily my favorite Scorsese, no contest.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, he has so much different kinds of stuff. What's your favorite of the newer stuff?
The newer, define newer, like 2010 to now?
Yeah, from Shutter Island to now, yeah.
Probably The Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah, I think me too. But I know you're not a big fan of Silence, but dude, that movie is deep as hell.
Silence is beautiful, but it's boring.
I don't know. That's
Sorry.
hard. It's hard for me to like say, I don't know. There's too many movies I like love that are probably classified as boring to most people for me to call it boring. I don't know. I see what you're saying though. I see what you're saying.
I liked Hugo a lot more than I thought I was going to.
Oh, dude, so good. Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, Raging Bull, a boxing movie in black and white from 1980, just completely turning against the current and going way, way left when everybody else is going right and, doing color all over the place and doing crazy stuff in the 80s. And he's like, oh, I think I'm going to make like an old school black and white film about a boxer. That's just, mad respect to him.
Dude, the king of comedy, like having Robert De Niro right after Raging Bull play a bumbling, like psychotic, aspiring comedian.
Oh, man. Yeah, dude. Unbelievable.
My God. He can do anything. And he has done everything. It's, Scorsese's a master of the craft. And we will one day do Weird Shit Wednesday on the man. And that'll be fun. But we won't be doing any Weird Shit Wednesdays till the quarantine gets lifted. Just
yeah.
The amount of prep that goes into those, we need to do those in person. They're important.
Agreed.
The film stars Oscar winner Leonardo DiCaprio as U.S. Marshal Teddy Daniels. DiCaprio is another highly respected actor and Hollywood icon who finally won his first Oscar for his performance and 2015's The Revenant. He's also been nominated for his performances in 1993's What's Eating Gilbert Grape, 2004's The Aviator, 2006's Blood Diamond, 2013's The Wolf of Wall Street, and 2019's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. He's one of my favorite actors, and he's easily the best thing about this movie.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, he carries it. There's multiple scenes where he is doing all kinds of stuff. Particularly one of my favorites is when he's questioning that one patient and he's fucking using the pencil.
Yeah.
Just there's little things like that Leo just pulls off really well. But I do think that someone else maybe could have played this. It's just, Scorsese and DiCaprio just have this bond that's unbelievable.
Oh, yeah. Ever since Gangs of New York, they've been knocking him out.
Yeah. I mean, The Aviator is underrated, man. That's a good movie.
That's a great movie. I love seeing him play Howard Hughes.
Yeah.
Such a crazy human being, Howard Hughes.
I know.
You can't even explain that guy to people who don't know him.
Well, yeah, we haven't really brought up The Departed too much. I mean, come on, talk about a movie that changed the way I kind of perceive things. That along with all the Tarantino stuff I saw in my middle school years. You're like, holy shit, the amount of coarse language that's in that is crazy, and you just it kind of changes the way you look at how people talk. It's crazy.
Oh, it's nuts. The Departed was one of the early Scorsese flicks I saw.
Me too.
And
yeah.
It's such a badass film. A lot of people give it flack for being, a remake of a Chinese film, and then also being too similar to Goodfellas. But they think that the Academy just gave him the Oscar because he was Scorsese. That movie it deserves Best Picture. It deserves Best Director. That movie's a fucking masterpiece. And even if it is a remake, Scorsese and Nicholson and Wahlberg and Damon and DiCaprio and Baldwin and Sheen made it their own.
Yeah.
And it's fucking awesome. I just watched it a few weeks ago. Such a fantastic movie.
Yeah, that's one of those that I can kind of I think it's heavily rewatchable, and I think you can consistently go back and kind of jump in at any point. Because you're going to hear an F word every 5 seconds, so you're going to start laughing, and then you're going to see Jack Nicholson do something completely off the wall, and then you're going to hear Mark Wahlberg talk about, his mom and his dad. It's just, the movie is wicked entertaining. What else came out that year in 2006 that would have been up for Best Picture?
2006.
I can't even think, man.
Yeah, Departed eclipsed fucking everything. Off the top of my head, The Queen.
Yeah.
Letters from Iwo Jima, I think.
That's a good one.
Pan's Labyrinth, but that wasn't up for Best Picture.
Yeah, dude. 2006 is a year that's lost. I'll look them up as you continue.
Yeah. So, in regards to Leo, what are some of your favorite Leo performances?
Rick fucking Dalton.
Rick fucking Dalton. Yes.
That to me, I think people are batshit crazy to have totally damn near dismiss what he did in that movie. Yes, Brad Pitt was amazing. Yes, Brad Pitt is hot as hell and gets to take his shirt off and smoke cigarettes and be cool as hell. Leonardo DiCaprio is doing more. Leonardo DiCaprio is all over the place in that movie. Leonardo DiCaprio plays one of the best drunks I've ever seen in a movie. Leonardo DiCaprio uses a goddamn flamethrower in the movie. I think that role is kind of going to get forgotten a little bit because of just kind of what happened at the Oscars with Cliff Booth. Just was this all-time character, and Parasite came out of nowhere. And I'm like, when I look back at 2019, that's the performance that stands out to me, is Rick fucking Dalton.
Hell yeah, man. Well said. I watched that today. Literally today at work. I watched Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It's just the best. It's so much fun. My favorite movie scene of 2019 is Rick Dalton telling off the goddamn hippies with a blender of margaritas in his hand, just drinking from it like it's fucking nothing.
Perfect.
Bunch of goddamn fucking hippies. Just so angry. Oh, beautiful.
I love it so much.
One of my favorites is Blood Diamond. Leo,
underrated. Yeah.
that movie is such a fucking gold mine. And I had never really heard it discussed in like, movie circles. Like people don't really talk about that one. And I watched it and I was mesmerized. I mean, everybody in that is so good. And
Yeah.
it's such a tense thriller. And yeah, Leo's I love his arc of just, self-serving scumbag to sacrificial lamb. It's so great. Excuse me. Yeah, Leo is one of those reliable guys who's always going to turn out good work, always has been. And The Revenant was fucking great. He really destroyed himself for that one.
Oh my God, dude. Unreal.
And it's going to be tough to top Rick Dalton. But I'm interested to see what he does.
What's Eating Gilbert Grape? He, does stuff on the screen that I don't think many people can do, because you have to be like first off, you have to be a certain age to do it. And he just kind of hit that. It just was like perfect timing. And that role is so powerful. But the Departed, this is an interesting group, man. This would be the 79th Academy Awards.
Oh, yes.
When Departed won. And the other 4 nominees for Best Picture were The Queen, as you said. Letters from Iwo Jima, as you said. Little Miss Sunshine.
Little Miss Sunshine.
And Babel.
Babel. I haven't seen that one.
I've seen all of those. I like all of those. Little Miss is probably my favorite, and then Departed.
I gotta say, sounds like kind of a weak year.
Yeah. Overall, yeah. I mean, if that's the 5 you come up with, I don't think that's the best. Yeah, and that's the same. The directors are the same that year, except Paul Greengrass also was up for United '93. Yeah. It doesn't look like the best.
That's
best overall year.
Yeah. Great. Well, I'm glad. Yeah. So Departed took it without a doubt.
Yeah. I mean, that's a landslide. That was probably very easy for people to decide. Yeah.
Little Miss Sunshine, I think in a different year could have taken that, but I don't know. I think The Departed's just level all its own.
Yeah, Little Miss Sunshine's very much a dark horse kind of movie anyway. Yeah. It's gonna be tough for it to. It doesn't have that oomph that most Best Picture movies have,
Yeah. Yeah, way to go. Oscar nominee Mark Ruffalo plays Teddy's martial partner Chuck. Ruffalo has been nominated for his performances in 2010's The Kids Are All Right, 2014's Foxcatcher, and 2015's Spotlight.
Oh,
he's well known for his role as Bruce Banner in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and we talked about him at length in our episode on Zodiac. Ruffalo, another consistently reliable dude.
Yeah. Marky Mark.
Marky Mark. Wrong Mark.
My man. Mark Ruffalo is. I say this a lot. I like this part of like movie, and because you and I are still young, and I can still remember these kinds of things when I first started really getting into movies. Mark Ruffalo was one of those guys where I was like, man, he's a little different, He specifically Foxcatcher, the way he moves in that movie is almost like he's like a gorilla. He like his shoulders are up, and then you see the same thing in Spotlight where the way he moves is kind of uncanny, and then like you said, his contribution to the MCU is like, I mean, forever you're like an American hero, when you're a part of the Avengers. So yeah, he's just had a hell of a decade, and I encourage people to check his stuff out. And then of course, Zodiac is so damn important to me, and I think to you now at this point, it's a really cool role for him. Yeah.
Yeah. One of my favorite thing about doing this show is revisiting these films, is finding these films again. And I love that. We've done that with so many now.
Yeah.
It's the best. It's best to have those back.
Yeah. I just what's cool about this is I knew we were doing Shutter Island, and it was late one night, and I had The Kids Are All Right on DVD, and I was like, I'm going to throw that on because we're probably going to talk about Ruffalo. And I hadn't seen it in a few years, and he's wonderful on that. And like you said, you just put this stuff back in your consciousness and kind of either give it another chance or just revisit it for fun, just to be entertained. It's awesome, man.
Have you gotten a chance to see Dark Waters yet?
No, but my brother and my dad both saw it and they loved it. They were like, "Hey, you got to see this, man. It's one of the more underrated movies of 2019."
So I heard it fell heavy under the radar, got no attention.
I
and
know,
it looked
I know.
So good.
Yeah.
One day.
Yeah, we'll get to that one. Yeah, Ruffalo is he's one of those guys that I think could have like a second part of his career that's very powerful. I think we're about to see it unfold.
Without a doubt. I watched his interview with GQ where he talked about his characters, and I can't believe he almost quit in 2010.
Yeah, dude. Right before he was about to just explode. Yeah.
Yeah. The Kids Are All Right is the movie that rejuvenated his love of acting. Thank God.
Yeah. Well, have you seen that?
Not yet.
I'll let you borrow that, man. That is a spectacular piece of all the performances are just like it's like they're on a stage. It's wonderful.
Fantastic. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, Mark Ruffalo, Julianne Moore, and Annette Bening. Come on, like it doesn't get much more like higher class than that, you know? Like they're just very good actors.
Straight up. Yeah, absolutely. I want to watch that. Oscar winner Sir Ben Kingsley plays the elusive Dr. Cawley. Kingsley won his first Oscar for his performance in 1982's Gandhi, and he's been nominated for his performances in 1991's Bugsy, 2000's Sexy Beast, and 2003's House of Sand and Fog. He used to be really good at picking his scripts, but ever since he appeared in The Love Guru, I've lost a great deal of respect for him. And Iron Man 3 did not help. So
yeah, I hear
mixed
that. Mixed
feelings about Ben Kingsley.
Me too. When he's good, he's good. I'll say that.
Yeah, but I watched his interview with GQ as well, and he constantly talks about how he tries to be very selective with the roles he plays. He doesn't want to just play something that's been done to death. And then I'm like, but you were in Blood Rain. Like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, come on, man.
You lost your dignity a long time ago.
Yeah. I do, I respect, Gandhi, that performance is pretty crazy.
I haven't really I haven't seen Gandhi or any of his Oscar nominations. I really haven't explored Kingsley because of what he's done lately.
That's totally fair. It's really just that one that I went back and watched because I knew, what it did at the Oscars, and I just kind of, it was years ago. I need to rewatch it, but this really Shutter Island is the first time I was like, who is that guy? Okay, this guy's cool. That was a sick performance,
Yeah, I agree. He's good in this. I thought he's really good in Hugo.
Very good. That's a good call. Yeah.
But I don't really have enough Kingsley to really like point things out.
No, neither do I. That's I think there's an untapped, for me anyway, as a fan, there's like an untapped area of British films, and he'd be a part of that. British actors and whatnot. I haven't got around to it. Just there's a lot to watch, man.
I've heard Sexy Beast is insane.
Yeah. No, that's always been one that I've heard. Like, if you're willing to watch something insane, go for that. So definitely that one's been on my radar. But there's nothing else that I've been like dying to see of his.
Yep, I do. Damn shame. But I'm sure we'll talk about him again at some point.
Oh, for sure. He pops up more than we know and more than people know,
Oh, without a doubt. The late, great Max von Sydow plays the sinister Dr. Nehring. Von Sydow has popped up a lot lately on this show, particularly in our episodes on the first two Exorcist films. He died earlier this year at age 90, and he is good in this. Really creepy.
He sells that shit, man. You totally believe that he's like, this guy would totally put a needle in me and make me feel fucking crazy as hell.
Well, this dude, he's a Nazi. Like, it's plain and simple. Like, so do you know about Operation Paperclip?
Yes. Yeah. Explain though. That's a good,
So Operation Paperclip was an initiative by the American government to shelter Nazi scientists and give them new identities and place them in important positions in American society. And I got the idea that Nehring in this film is one of those people, that he was a Nazi scientist put on this island.
Yeah.
Which goes a long way towards making the conspiracy a little bit more believable in this movie.
For sure.
And Max von Sydow, he'll always be Father Merrin from The Exorcist.
Yeah.
And just a great actor. And it's weird how often he's popped up on the show lately, like 3-4 times.
Yeah, rest in peace, man. That guy is just a wicked good actor.
Oh yeah, underrated, underutilized, I think, especially lately. Oscar nominee Michelle Williams plays the ghost of Teddy's wife Dolores, who haunts him after he believes he's been fed hallucinogenic drugs. Williams is an underrated actress, I think, who always delivers.
Oh my God.
Yeah, she's been nominated for her performances in 2005's Brokeback Mountain, 2010's Blue Valentine, 2011's My Week with Marilyn, and 2016's Manchester by the Sea.
Yeah.
And she is unreal in everything she does.
I think she is, one of the best working, like, right now. And what she's able to do with, like, a short amount of time. What she does in Manchester by the Sea is so fucking special. And, it's, like, something people need to really pay attention to. Because have you seen My Week with Marilyn?
Not yet. That's next for me, for Michelle.
I own that one. I don't know if it's on anything right now.
I think it's on Netflix.
Okay, yeah. All those ones you mentioned, I love all of those. I own all of them. They're all very special to me. But most of all, Blue Valentine, man. It's just what she does in that movie is pretty insane.
I finally watched that recently, and I get it. She is. Oh my God.
Her and Gosling are
so hard to watch.
They're on a different level, man. Yeah, because you don't really like either of them, you know.
No, they're both really selfish assholes, but it's just it's tough to watch this. It's too real, Blue Valentine. It's too real in how it depicts a marriage, and it's really tough to watch without getting involved emotionally. And fantastic work. I think she gets overshadowed in Brokeback Mountain, but she delivers in that time.
Yeah, well, we got to talk about that one back in January. That was a blast. I mean, her and Anne Hathaway are really good in that movie.
Without a doubt. I loved her in recently The Greatest Showman. She's really good in that.
She's my favorite part in that. Yeah.
And I think we talked about this in Brokeback, but it's so weird to see her in Venom. It's just so outside of her zone.
Yeah, that is by far and away the strangest role that she's chosen. It's like, I mean, I get it, it's probably paid a lot, but what the hell?
Yeah, and she's gonna be in part 2.
Yeah. Oh, well, she's awesome, man. She's just she's one of those people. It seems like she was born to do it.
Character actor favorites Ted Levine, Jackie Earle Haley, and John Carroll Lynch all appear in minor roles as well. Rounding out an insanely talented cast that all act circles around each other. The cast of this movie is unfucking real.
Yeah.
It's just the bit parts. I mean, Ted Levine has less than 2 minutes of screen time, but it's such a cool scene. Just driving Teddy.
That scene is brilliant. That's the
Especially
spirit.
knowing the twist, it really makes that scene so much more sinister because he's gonna break the illusion.
Yes.
Just to fuck with him. Oh, so great. I love Ted Levine to death. He's one of my favorite character actors.
Oh, me too. And then, I mean, I think we both are very, very into John Carroll Lynch's work. Zodiac, The Invitation. He's just...
It's gotten to the point where when he pops up on screen, I will literally go, hey, look.
It's
and I'll immediately be in a better mood. It's so cool.
Yeah, he has something about him, and like you said, he has that bit part at the beginning of the film where it just sets the fucking tone, and he's smoking the cigar, and he's like, "Oh, I'm taking you up to Ash Cliff." Like you're like, "Oh right, fuck." I don't know if I'm ready for this.
Oh boy. Shutter Island has an IMDb score of 8.1.
Whoa, really?
Yeah, I know. I was really shocked at that.
Wow.
And then a Rotten Tomatoes score of 68%.
Okay, that seems more like it. Yeah.
It was a big old hit, grossing $294 million on a budget of $80 million.
Scorsese.
Back in 2016, Filmgazm contributor Kayla Leger gave this film a 9 out of 10. And let's see if we can figure out why. Okay, so we open
Okay, well, hold on. So
Yeah.
we know because you wrote a review as well. You give it a 7.
I did, yes.
And we know I like it. I don't quite like it as much as a 9. I'm right there in the middle. I'm at an 8.
Okay.
And I'm more holding on to that 8 because of sentimental value. I very much understand your stance on it, but I would be very curious to hear Caleb's thoughts on it, because people who are obsessed with Shutter Island,
Yeah.
they can talk about it for hours. They just keep going. So that would be fascinating.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I'd love to hear his thoughts on this movie. So we open with U.S. Marshals Teddy Daniels and Chuck Owl, or Owl. I don't know how to say his name. Chuck. They're on a ferry boat.
Yeah.
They're on a ferry boat headed towards Shutter Island, an island that houses Ashcliffe Mental Asylum for the criminally insane. So, two marshals going to an isolated island, home to a mental hospital for the criminally insane. Great concept. Already, terrifying.
Yeah.
And they're going to the island because there's a patient escaped. They can't find her, so the marshals have been called in to identify or locate this woman. Teddy is ill. He's sweating. He's vomiting. He's seasick. He says, it's just water. Can't get himself together. He goes,
right there at the beginning, you see that he seems to have lost his cigarettes, right?
Yeah.
Bullshit. He didn't lose those, man. Those were planted. And Mark Ruffalo's like, hey, I got some, and they're making him sick. So, but right away, you kind of get this creepy vibe of what exactly is the relationship here between these two guys? They don't know each other.
Yeah.
Why is he so seasick? Has he never been on a boat before? You're just kind of confused. He's just disarrayed. Teddy is. He's just out of sorts.
And this is your intro to him. This is the first time you see Teddy is just beaten the fuck down and ill and not having his shit together in the slightest.
Yeah, kind of losing it. Yeah.
Yeah. And we find out later, of course, he hates water. Why? Yep. I would hate water too if what happened to him happened to me.
Yeah, agreed.
And he goes to talk to Chuck, his new partner. Already strange. Why doesn't U.S. Marshal Teddy, who's apparently a legend in the marshal's office, have a seasoned partner? They just give him this dude Chuck. There's so many holes in the story.
Yeah.
There's a reason for that.
Yes.
And him and Chuck are talking, and Chuck asks him about his home life, and Teddy reveals that his wife's dead. She died in an apartment fire several years ago. Chuck's sorry he brought it up, but he calls Teddy boss the whole time. That's his nickname for Teddy, and says that Teddy's a legend. So we have this standard of Teddy Daniels is a well-respected, seasoned marshal who knows his shit. He knows his way around. So that's what we get from Chuck. Chuck's here to kind of remind us that Teddy's a badass.
Yeah.
They get to the island. The ferry captain mentions there's going to be a big storm. Teddy and Chuck meet Deputy Warden McPherson, John Carroll Lynch.
Yes.
He takes them into the mental hospital grounds, and the high walls make it look like a prison. There's an electrified fence, and the buildings and grounds look like kind of a college campus. The A ward has the male patients. The B ward has the female patients. And C ward is this giant fort where they put the very dangerous people.
For the criminally insane.
Yeah, those are the monsters.
Yeah, and let's talk about how powerful the as you get to the island, that's a really nice wide shot of the island as you get there, and the music is really cool. It's swelling, bam, 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 and as you get to the island, you're kind of. I remember the first time I saw this, I was just I have no idea what I'm in for, and that's a great feeling.
Oh, for sure. The opening of this movie reminds me so much of Agatha Christie's And Then There Were None.
Nice.
Going to this isolated island, not really sure why you're there, no way to get out. And then the character of Teddy Daniels, heavily inspired by Dashiell Hammett's Sam Spade.
Yeah.
These typical 50s, listen here, see, kind of detective guys.
Yeah, come on, boss. Yeah.
But Leo's mental instability offsets that macho, testosterone to kind of create a leveled character. It's really smart. Like, the writing is not at fault here. I really like this character. I like all the characters I think pop. It's just that goddamn twist.
Yeah,
it's literally the only thing I don't like.
That can do it, man. I mean, if something is building and building and building, and then it has this like, wait, what? I totally understand.
I know, I'm just talking my way through this. I'm like, I wish I liked this movie.
Yeah, because it looks spectacular. The production design is on a very high level.
Oh, for sure. So McPherson tells Chuck and Teddy that they can't go in Ward C unless they have written approval from McPherson and Dr. Cawley, and they have accompaniment. And Deputy Warden McPherson tells them they have to give up their firearms. And Teddy says, we're federal agents. We don't have to surrender anything. And McPherson tells them that federal penitentiary law overrides that. And while they're on this island, the local security has final say. And they try, Teddy's like, fine. And he hands him his weapon. Chuck has issues getting the holster off his pants. And Teddy's like, are you kidding me? Fucking fish? Like, you're the guy they sent me? So they hand over their weapons. McPherson leads them into the grounds. They meet Dr. Cawley, who explains a bit about the facility and what his goals here are to do. He believes that if you can talk to a mentally impaired person, understand their point of view, you can help them. Wow. Crazy. Wild, right? In the 50s, this was crazy.
Very radical, yeah.
Yeah. There was a time when it was just like, if they're even remotely a little odd, throw them in a cage and never let society see them again. Like, throw them, some pills occasionally. But he's trying to kind of make psychiatry less brutish, make it more mainstream, make it less fearsome. But on the other side of this is people who believe in surgical techniques like lobotomies, where you can just carve up a guy's brain and make him passive forever. We saw that in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. And it's fucked up, and you should never do that to a human being. Ugh, it would just erase who they are like that. It's really disturbing.
Yeah.
So Cawley's trying to make a case for his way of psychiatry. And Teddy has a splitting headache from the ferry trip. Dr. Cawley gives him some aspirin. And he explains why they're there. Says a patient, Rachel, has escaped the night before, but she's vanished. And she's at Shutter Island because she drowned her kids. 3 children. She drowned them and then pretended that they'd never died. She believes that she's still at her house and that everyone in the asylum is neighbors, delivery men, mailmen. She can't accept that she's killed anyone or that her children are even dead. What a crazy mindset to have, that you can do something so horrific that it breaks you and convinces you that it never happened. Jesus, our minds are weird.
Extremely and vast, and can change within moments because it takes an experience to change, So if you go through something painful like Teddy did, then it can really fuck you up. Obviously, it's so sad. But sure. movies like this, obviously, like One Flew Over is one of my favorite movies of all time. Movies like this fascinate me. The mind, Life of the Mind is like the most
Life of the Mind.
Yeah, it's one of the most interesting, interesting ways to make art, is like just talking about what's going on inside you.
Without a doubt. And so Teddy kind of dismisses this like, well, she's crazy, Why should we? Like, you think you can help this lady? She became beyond help the second she killed her children. So Teddy's very dismissive of the patients. He keeps calling them inmates or prisoners. So they tour the rest of the island. The officers are combing the island for Rachel. They're saying that if she jumped into the ocean, the current would have dragged her back and she would have died. She would have drowned and washed up on the rocks, but there's no one there. There's a lighthouse on the other side of the island that's gated off, and there's armed guards. Teddy, a little suspicious of this, keeps that in his mind. And Teddy makes it clear that he's got to interview staff and patients. He's got to go through the personnel records, but Cawley's like, no, of course not. And he's like, we have to do that. I'm a marshal. And he's like, no. It's annoying how dismissive Cawley is to Teddy until you realize why. And they go to the living quarters and they interview the staff about the night that Rachel disappeared. And in her cell, they find a loose floorboard and a handwritten note saying, "The law of 4, who is 67?" Ooh, mysterious. The staff don't really help him. Teddy and Chuck ask about her, but they note that she attended group therapy. Then she went to her room and disappeared. Everyone who was on duty that night is kind of like, yeah, we didn't see anything. During the meeting, it's revealed that the staff physician who conducted the meeting, Dr. Sheehan, is gone. He left that morning on the ferry to go on vacation. And Teddy's like, are you kidding me? A dangerous mental patient just escaped, and there's a lockdown, and her doctor is just gets to go home, go on vacation? Are you kidding me? So there's an air of suspicion. Teddy's thinking, things aren't adding up here. Something weird is going on at this asylum. And there's a series of dream sequences, flashbacks about Teddy's time in World War II as a soldier. And Teddy has internal conversations with himself in which his dead wife, Dolores, kind of talks to him and gives him some direction. In one flashback, we see that Teddy's unit was the first to arrive at the Dachau concentration camp.
Oof.
Yeah. There's thousands of dead Jews. Teddy particularly remembers a dead woman and her dead child in her arms in the middle of a pile of bodies. And Teddy remembers watching the German commander try to kill himself, but he fucked up and shot himself in the face. And it took him like an hour to die. Ugh. The German tries to reach out for the gun to finish the job, but Teddy slides the gun away, making him suffer. Jesus. And in other dreams, Dolores discovers a lot of empty bottles of alcohol. He explains that what he saw in the war is the reason he drinks so much. So Teddy is pretty fucked up. He's got a lot of dark memories. A lot of bad things have happened to Teddy, and they're constantly with him. He hasn't moved on. And this is the guy investigating the escaped patient. So if on a second viewing, if you know what's going to happen, if you know the twist, you can pick up on all of these things about, why, Teddy's so fucked up, how this is not a real investigation and all that. It makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, right from the beginning, the cigarettes and the Chuck not being able to pull his gun out of his holster, so he takes the whole holster out. Yeah, all that stuff. Yeah, are little tells that he's being manipulated.
Yep. So after the meeting with the staff, Dr. Cawley has Teddy and Chuck over to his mansion on the island to have a drink. When they arrive, they meet Dr. Nehring in the den, and he appears to be Dr. Cawley's superior. Teddy immediately doesn't like him when he picks up a German accent. And he starts talking to Dr. Nehring in German. And it's oof. Dr. Nehring's amused, comments on Teddy's remarkable defense mechanisms. Dr. Nehring says that Chuck and Teddy are men of violence. And this offends Chuck. The doctor says he doesn't mean that they're violent men, only that they are men who have seen violence and do not shy away from it because running is not an option. That's why they were both in the army. Teddy gets angry when they say that they've consulted the board of directors who have refused to release the staff's personnel records. Teddy breaks a glass, threatens to end the investigation in the morning and turn his case over to the FBI, and storms off. The next day, the storm has hit the island, so there's no ferry. A hurricane's about to happen. Teddy was only bluffing the night before. He does not intend to leave without investigating this island. Teddy and Chuck have several interviews with the patients who were in the group therapy session with Rachel. This scene is very interesting. And we get to see the different types of people that are on this island. They're not very helpful. And they all seem to be following a script. They say very similar things about Dr. Sheehan and Rachel. In one interview, a woman asks Chuck for a glass of water, and when he leaves, she grabs his notebook and runs and writes something very quickly and gives it back to him. So one of the guys that Teddy interviews is this guy who ripped a woman's face off. And he deliberately fucks with the guy by scribbling real hard on his notebook to make the guy irritated by the noise. So I love that Teddy hates these people because he is these people. He did something horrific too.
Yeah.
But
and he wants to be in control so bad.
His hatred of these people is his way of distancing himself from what he did. And it's so overcompensational, like just straight up.
Yeah.
But
Leo, fucking Leo, man.
Excuse me. At the same time, these guys are very unlikable. I mean, this man murdered another woman, like just for the fuck of it, and that other woman killed her husband. It's tough to feel for people like this, you know. I mean, are they mentally unstable or are they just killers? I don't know.
Yeah. Who's to judge that? Who's to decide?
So Teddy and Chuck leave the hospital grounds, start exploring the island. They end up at a cemetery. They think, if Rachel was, let out on purpose or killed, this would be a great place to dump the body. Suddenly the wind and the rain pick up and they end up in a mausoleum for shelter. And Chuck asks Teddy to level with him. He knows that that patient told him something. Teddy shows him the notebook and it says the word run.
Jeez.
Yeah. Teddy explains why he's here. He was trying to get assigned to an investigation of this place specifically. He was trying to get this case. He says a man named Andrew Ladis was a maintenance worker at the apartment they lived in, and he's the arsonist who set the fire that killed his wife. He got off on a technicality, was later caught when he killed somebody else, went to a mental hospital. It was this one. But when Teddy looked into it, there's no paperwork on Ladis, and he suspects there's a conspiracy going on. He mentions Nazi experiments and wonders if his own government is involved in psychotropic drug research using this island as a base of operations. He tells Chuck he came across a prisoner named George Noyce, who was actually sent here some time before, got out, and told Teddy about the crazy research going on here. Chuck throws another layer to this conspiracy, gets paranoid, and says that maybe with Teddy's poking around, he got the attention of Shutter Island, and they arranged the disappearance of Rachel as an excuse to draw him here as a marshal, and so they can make him disappear. You don't know what to believe. As an audience member, you're like, what? What? Ah.
Yeah, what is Chuck talking about? Why is he all of a sudden, super involved?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I don't know.
Teddy's not sure about that. He doesn't want to believe that, but Chuck is pretty convincing. Suddenly the door busts in and there's a car spotlight on them. It's Deputy Warden McPherson, who's been looking for them, and he takes them back to the hospital. They change out of their wet suits. The orderly gives them staff white uniforms that make them look like patients, but he tells them it take about a day or two to get their suits back from the dry cleaner. They don't like the whites, takes them anyway, and the orderly says their smokes were ruined, but he gives them 2 new packs of cigarettes. It's all about the cigarettes.
And I love how, they're like, oh, you'll get your suit back. Never. Oh, man. Yeah, that was your costume for a little bit. You were playing.
The idea that, it'll be just a couple days on pretty much everything reminded me of Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? When Everett's trying to buy the Dapper Dan, and they're like, I can order it for you, have it in a couple of weeks. And he's like, well, ain't this place a geographical oddity? 2 weeks from everywhere.
So good.
I was thinking of that.
Perfect.
One of my favorite scenes in that movie. So Teddy and Chuck go to Dr. Cawley's office again. They argue about the investigation. Suddenly, Teddy gets ill with a massive migraine. He thinks he's going to be okay, but he starts to fall. Chuck catches him. The doctor gives him a couple pills. Teddy doesn't want to take them. He's sick, though. The doctor insists he take them, so Teddy takes the pills. Chuck helps him down to the basement with all the rest of the staff to wait out the hurricane. Just before he dozes off, he sees a evil-looking guy. The orderly says it's the warden, and that's Ted Levine. The warden kind of glares at Teddy right before Teddy falls asleep. So why does the warden have a beef with Teddy? Well, we find out later. Teddy has another dream sequence with his wife, who tells him that Rachel's on the island and that he needs to help her. In a dream, Teddy's in Dr. Colley's den and sees Latus in his chair by the fire. Latus is played by Elias Koteas. Latus has a really freaky scar running from his right eye to his left side of his chin. So he just looks like a monster. Like, he looks like an arsonist, straight up.
Yeah, it looks like, that guy could totally set somewhere on fire and kill a bunch of people.
Oh, yeah. The next day is insane. The backup generators fail. All the patients' cell doors are opened. Trees are falling over the hospital campus with staff and officers trying to clean up everything as well as get all the patients rounded up. And Teddy and Chuck use it as an opportunity to take advantage of the confusion and go to the Ward C building. And inside there is really dark. Reminded me so much of Arkham Asylum from the Batman franchise.
This might be the peak of the film.
Oh, yeah. A patient runs from them. They chase him. Chuck falls behind. The patient grabs Teddy from behind, starts choking him. Teddy gets away and beats the shit out of the guy till Chuck pulls him off. A guard chews out Teddy, has Chuck help him take the patient to the medical center, telling Teddy to go take a walk, because they think that Teddy and Chuck are orderlies.
Yes.
Teddy wanders around, finds a row of cells where a prisoner is sitting by himself and saying the name Latus. When Teddy demands the prisoner look at him, he realizes the prisoner is George Noyce, the former patient who got out, who is now back in Shutter Island. Noyce's face is just beaten to hell. Teddy can't believe he's back here and asks him, like, what the hell are you doing here? Noyce is yelling at him that it's all about Latus. He tells Teddy the only way he can save Noyce is to forget his wife and Latus and focus on what's going on here. Teddy looks guilty when Noyce tells him it's his fault that Noyce is back here because he kept asking about Latus. This part's a bit confusing. You really kind of have to pay attention with the dialogue to kind of stay in it a little bit. Great bit performance by Jackie Earle Haley here.
Incredible, yeah. George Noyce, man. He's just crazy, well-written character.
Jackie Earle Haley's such an underappreciated performer. That guy is fucking awesome.
Truly, yeah. He's one of those guys that I think you and I. When did we talk? Oh yeah, The Watchmen. Duh.
Watchmen. Yep.
We talked about him, how much we loved that role, and how he's probably the best part of that movie. And he just he fucking brings it every time.
I don't know if I talked about this in the Watchmen podcast, but I'll talk about it here. If I've done it before, well, you're gonna hear it again, guys. I saw Jackie Earle Haley once in Austin.
Yeah.
I was at a Bill Burr comedy show, and me and Sean were seeing Bill Burr, and when it was over, Sean looked behind him, suddenly got really tense, and told me, like, dude, look over there. It's Rorschach. And I'm like, what? I look behind me. Jackie Earle Haley is in the fucking seat behind me. Like, right behind me. He was right there.
Man.
The whole time.
So
I was
awesome.
like, fuck, it's Rorschach.
It's George Noyce.
I was too starstruck. I didn't say anything. I wish I had.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. You got to throw some kind of quote at him. Yeah.
God damn it. Yeah, he's the man. Teddy promises Noyce he's going to get him out of there. Noyce tells him that Latus is not in the C building. They've taken him to the lighthouse where they're going to lobotomize him. He said the lighthouse is where they do the experiments. Noyce, Teddy questions him, tells him, Noyce questions him about Chuck, saying Chuck's a plant by the government to follow Teddy. He asks him whether he's worked with Chuck before, and Teddy's like, no, we know that they haven't. They're new partners. Teddy catches up with Chuck. They head towards the office. Dr. Colley says they found Rachel. Well, how convenient. They go to her cell, and there's a weird scene. Well, first off, there's no scratches. Rachel's completely fine, despite having been out in the elements barefoot for like 3 days.
Yeah.
And she's, as we established earlier, Rachel thinks that all of this is an illusion, that she's still in her house, that Everyone there works for, various deliveries. And she thinks that Teddy is her husband and hugs him and then starts screaming at him that he's dead. Why are you back here? At some point, Teddy's dreams now include Rachel as the woman with her daughter in the pile of bodies at Dachau. This time they open their eyes and look at him. The girl asks him why he didn't save her. He says he tried, but the soldiers just didn't get there in time. In another scene, Rachel's bloody. She's at Teddy and his wife's vacation cottage. They go outside. Teddy sees the little girl, picks her up, and carries her to the water. The little girl asks him again why he didn't save her. Did we already pass the point where Teddy and his soldiers massacred all the guards at Dachau?
Yes, that is not in here. Yeah.
That was a brutal fucking scene. But
yeah, extremely. Those are probably the most impressive, directed scenes, right? Are the ones where he's back. Yeah. Where it's almost like a World War II film for a second, and it's just like, holy shit, Scorsese's got the stuff. He just knows what he's doing. And those are really incredible scenes. But they kind of are hard to fit in or describe because they are just they're visually stunning and devastating parts of the movie.
Well, they're dream sequences. It's part of
exactly.
Yeah, you're getting a glimpse into Teddy's fractured psyche here.
Yes. Yeah.
So Teddy and Chuck leave. Chuck says he found Latus's file, but the only thing in there was his commitment paper. And when he tries to show Teddy, Teddy says he won't look at it now. He wants to get to the lighthouse. He's been searching for proof of Latus's existence at this island. Chuck finds it. Teddy can't be bothered to look at it. Interesting.
Yeah, there's new stuff to focus on.
Teddy is a little suspicious of Chuck when he tries to talk him out of going to the lighthouse. They arrive at the cliffs over the ocean, realize they're too far south. Teddy says he's going to go around and try to get a different way. Chuck again tries to talk him out of it because it's dangerous to scale the cliffs. It's going to be dark soon. Teddy says he's going to go by himself. He gets near the lighthouse, finds it's late enough in the day that the tide has cut off the lighthouse from the island. He gives up, goes back to where Chuck is, tell him they'll try later, but all he sees is a burning cigarette on the edge of the cliff. He looks over, sees Chuck at the bottom of the cliff with waves crashing over him. Shocked, Teddy climbs down, does not see Chuck at the bottom. He sees a cave in the side of the cliff with a fire inside. He reaches the cave. He sees a woman armed with a knife. They begin talking. Who is she? The real Rachel, played by Patricia Clarkson.
Yes, really, really nice performance from her.
Yeah. Rachel says she was a doctor at the hospital who found out too much. They committed her and concocted a story that she killed her kids. The other Rachel's an imposter used to fool the marshals. Interesting new layer to this. She says there's a secret government program to test a number of new drugs on the patients to turn them into super soldiers. They'll erase their memories so they can't be tortured and to give information if they're captured. They don't feel pain. Interesting. And Teddy's like, that would be worth millions, be unstoppable. And she says that, well, they're not going to let you leave. You've seen too much. They're going to concoct a story about how Teddy went crazy. She asked if he had a serious trauma, and yeah, I could fucking say yes, he did. And says they're going to use that to say he cracked. She asks if he's taken any medication or eaten the food or smoked any of their cigarettes, and he's like, fuck. Oh, she's like, well, don't tell me you ate their food. At least tell me you didn't smoke their cigarettes.
Yeah.
And he's just like, oh,
Jesus. Shit. Yeah.
She says it takes about 48 hours for these drugs to take effect and make him pliable. The first sign is going to be tremors in his hands, which he already has. She again questions whether Chuck's even a marshal, and that he's probably a government agent sent to go with him to the island. Teddy gets back to the road. She says, you can't stay here, they'll find me. He sees a Jeep pull up with the warden. The warden takes him back to the facility, and they have a very strange conversation about them both being men of violence. The warden tells him that men like them know how to use violence and use it well. He asks Teddy if I were to reach over and try to bite your eye out, would you be able to stop me? Jesus. Little Buffalo Bill.
Unbelievable.
Teddy says, why don't you try and we'll find out. The warden smiles. Teddy leaves to confront Dr. Colley, who wonders where the hell Teddy's been. Teddy says he'll be leaving, and he asks if the doctor's seen Chuck, his partner. And Dr. Colley says, you came alone. There was no partner. Whoa. Not going to lie, I got pretty creeped out when he said that.
Yeah, well, it completely throws so much of what you know out the window. You're like, wait a minute.
True.
It's full on manipulation at that point.
But what do we really know? That's the question.
Exactly, because it really still, the story can be interpreted however really you want.
True. So Teddy just kind of like tries to throw Dr. Colley off and says, my mistake. Realizes they're already trying to put their plan into action. He leaves, walks around the grounds, trying to decide what to do next. He sees Dolores, who tells him to leave the island and don't go to the lighthouse. The lighthouse will destroy him. And in a way, she's right. He decides to create a diversion by blowing up Dr. Colley's car. So he can sneak to the lighthouse. He uses his tie, soaks it in gas, lights it, car explodes. He runs
Arsonist.
out. Oh, yeah. Yeah, good point.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, I've thought about this movie a lot. There's too many signs that he... I mean, who the fuck does that, dude? Like, I need to get somebody's attention. That is not even something that runs through my mind. Like, I'm going to blow that car. Yeah. That's some Walter White shit, man.
Well, you shouldn't speak loudly at the bank.
No, yeah, you definitely shouldn't do that shit. Yeah.
Oh, boy. So he swims over to the lighthouse, sneaks up behind a guard, knocks him out, takes his rifle. He runs up the stairs of the lighthouse to the top, checking each room. He gets to the top, finds Dr. Colley sitting behind a desk. Teddy holds the rifle on him while he's talking. Doctor says the rifle is empty. Did you kill the guard? He says no. The doctor calls down anyway to tell the people below to attend to the guard before they come up. Teddy sees his gun from the beginning on the doctor's desk. Dr. Colley reveals what's really been happening in the movie. Teddy is a patient at the hospital. He's been there for 2 years. Teddy doesn't believe him, says he's a U.S. Marshal. The doctor says he was, but he had a breakdown 2 years ago when his kids were killed by their mother. And Teddy says he doesn't have kids. Dr. Colley says they've been trying to use this new drug therapy to help him, and they've been trying to do everything they can to treat him. He says he's their most dangerous patient. And the warden and his people want to lobotomize him to make him manageable. These last couple of days have been a massive role play to get Teddy to finally face what he did. And what he did was murder his wife because she killed his children. Dark day.
Yeah, no kidding.
He calls in Chuck, who's actually Dr. Sheehan, the doctor who went on vacation. He's a psychiatrist. He's Teddy's psychiatrist who agreed to play along with this fantasy, keep tabs on him. Dr. Colley tells Eddie that his real name is Andrew Latus and that Edward Daniels is an anagram of that name. Very smart, that bit. And Rachel Solando, I think was her name.
Yeah.
And Dolores
Chanel.
Channel. Yeah, that's what it was. Rachel Solando turns into Dolores Channel. So Teddy's been using these anagram names to create a completely new identity for himself in order to create distance from his real name. The doctor points out George Noyce was a fellow patient who Teddy attacked a few days before because he called him Latus. The doctor shows him the transcript of what Noyce said to him in the cell earlier, and he tells Teddy that the reason he beat up Noyce was, Noyce called him by his real name. Teddy grabs his gun off the table, tries to shoot Dr. Colley, but he realizes it's a toy gun. He breaks it open. It's a toy. Like they're going to give an unstable mental patient a real gun.
Yeah.
He tells Teddy that he has completely erased everything he did wrong in an attempt to make himself the hero of his own story. We see a flashback, the saddest, Jesus Christ, hard to watch scene in the movie. Leo and Michelle do such a fantastic, unbelievable job in this scene.
Yes.
So real. Andrew Latus comes home to his cottage. His wife's acting strangely. She says, he asks where the kids are, and she says they're in school. He says it's Saturday, and she says they're in her school. And he looks towards the lake. Teddy sees a body in the lake. He's horrified. He runs into the lake and sees his 3 kids are drowned in the lake. He's crying uncontrollably. He grabs them, tries to do CPR, doesn't take. He places them on the ground. His wife hugs him, says they should put the kids at the dining room table and have dinner. Teddy's crying and says that if she ever loved him, she should stop talking. Jesus.
Rough.
She says she loves him, and he shoots her. He says, yeah, she's laying there, blood on her, she dies. His whole life, his whole world has been completely destroyed in one day. Oh, my God. Yeah. So Teddy now realizes he has a choice between accepting the truth or continuing to deny it. The doctor makes it clear that if he can't accept the truth, he's going to be lobotomized. He makes Teddy admit that he blamed himself for not realizing that his wife was having trouble. Andrew Laeddis admits Teddy Daniels was fake, and he created this illusion because he hated himself for killing his wife because of what she did. The next day, he and Dr. Sheehan are sitting on some steps by the hospital grounds, and Teddy says, "We got to get off this rock, Chuck." And Dr. Sheehan nods and looks over to the other doctors and shakes his head. So sad. Chuck says, "What do you think, boss? What's our next move?" Teddy asks Chuck whether it's better to live as a monster or die a good man. He stands up and willingly goes with the orderlies, as he would rather choose to continue his fantasy than accept the horrors of his reality. However, that's not what I think. I think he was cured, but he can't live with that. He can't live with what happened, and he'd rather lose his identity than stay with that. And I think Dr. Sheehan knows that. He knows what he's giving up. But you can kind of look at it either way. But that twist for me just completely wipes out the idea of a mental hospital masquerading as a secret government facility where they're testing mind control patients, like mind control drugs on patients. That sounds like such a cooler movie to me.
Yeah, and it really is that to a certain extent, until they really unveil that twist. And then when you rewatch it, you're like really watching Leo's performance, and you're like, oh yeah, there's clearly all these signs that this place is, manipulative and is doing certain things, but he's crazy. And I don't know, I've heard all kinds of theories about this movie. I don't exactly think I have something on the nose that I think.
Yeah.
But I enjoy the journey. Most of the journey anyway is a fun ride. And Leo is just doing so much with this performance. He's all over the place, man. It's awesome.
He can do so much with like the worst movie. Leo's so good at that. He's so good at using everything at his disposal to deliver a great performance.
Yeah.
So here's some Filmgazm facts for you. Number one, Mark Ruffalo won the role of Chuck after sending Martin Scorsese a fan letter saying how much he wanted to work with him. That's cool. Number two, the title Shutter Island is an anagram of truths and lies.
Fantastic.
Or truths/denials. So, no way that's
pretty good. Yeah, I like that.
And number three, Teddy Daniels' final line to Chuck, "This place makes me wonder which would be worse, to live as a monster or die as a good man," is not in Dennis Lehane's book.
Nope.
And it inspired an article in The Guardian over what the movie's ending really meant. While Leo and Scorsese did not have concrete answers, psychiatric advisor Dr. James Gilligan said that Daniels did choose his fate, and he chose it as Andrew Laeddis. Gilligan said that Daniels' guilt over his past actions, especially his role in causing his wife to lose her mind and murder their children, led him to commit a form of suicide by giving the Shutter Island staff the green light to lobotomize him.
Yeah.
Dr. Gilligan, it makes sense to me. He also said this movie's treatment of Daniels succeeded because he did face his delusions, but failed in that his apparently fake retained psychosis gave the pro-lobotomy doctors a win in the debate over their methods versus new non-surgical treatments. So while Teddy won his own war, the psychiatry profession did not. And I give Shutter Island a 7. Their performances are fantastic. The tone is creepy and tense, but the twist just completely destroys the movie I thought I was watching, only to give away give way to something far less intriguing.
Yeah. Like I said earlier, I give it an 8. I do think, there's like a direction this movie could take where, like you said, they are actually like essentially kidnapping American citizens and using them for science, which is like so fucking creepy. And for a minute, you know, especially the first time you see this movie, you think that's where it's going. And it's not totally satisfying, but like you said, the performances are awesome. The tone, the music, all of those things that Scorsese normally does well are there. As far as the plot goes, I think it could have been a little stronger. I don't think the book totally translates to screen. Maybe they could have just taken some liberties and changed some things. I have no problem with that, as long as it makes a good product. I don't think it matters too much. So, I'm really glad we did this, man. I think it was a good one to revisit, and get that validation.
I agree. So what are we doing for Friday?
Friday, stay in the Scorsese realm. I think it's also fair to do Leonardo DiCaprio as well. So a Scorsese Leo duo movie, and out of the 2002 Gangs of New York, man.
Gangs of New York, fantastic fucking watch, fun to talk about, semi based on a true story, which we'll get into detail on, and that's a fantastic movie. That is going to be a fun episode.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, it's a really good movie. Again, Scorsese and Leo, one of the most iconic modern director-actor duos ever.
I think that'll be our first Daniel Day-Lewis movie.
Yes, it will.
Ooh.
Well, what else? What else would we have done? Yeah, I mean,
I'm sure we'll do an episode on There Will Be Blood eventually.
Well, yeah,
The Crucible.
That's definitely. Yeah, I mean, I could do on all of them. I'll do My Left Foot. I'll do Last of the Mohicans. I'll do, Age of Innocence. I'll do any of those, man. But it feels right that Bill the Butcher is the first character we're gonna dissect of his.
Oh, fuck yeah. So let's take a look at what happened this week in film. The upcoming Venom sequel has been delayed to June 2021 and was also given a title, Venom, Let There Be Carnage.
Okay.
Oh boy. I am so excited for this.
Yeah, you and I are like two of the only people on Earth who liked Venom.
I don't know, man. I mean, it was like, what, 800 million box office? I think.
No, I know it made a lot of money, but I feel like movie people were just kind of like, whatever,
Oh yeah, everyone dismissed it. I thought it was fucking cool.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's always going to make money. Tom Hardy, superhero shit. Yeah, come on.
I'm excited to see Woody Harrelson take on Carnage, who's one of my favorite Spider-Man villains.
Me too.
Such a psychopath. And I hope they get a hard R. I really hope they do. And Andy Serkis is directing. So, like, so many good things about this one.
Yeah, it could be a gem.
Next up, there is a Hunger Games prequel film in the works, based on Suzanne Collins' upcoming prequel novel, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. And I don't care. I don't think anybody cares anymore.
No, yeah, that came and went. It's no, I'm good. I don't need any more of that.
Hunger Games was hot shit for like 2 years, and then it completely disappeared.
And then nothing, yeah.
I think this is going to bomb hard.
Agreed.
Next up, there is a Whitney Houston biopic in the works, currently titled I Want to Dance with Somebody. It's going to be written by Anthony McCartan, writer of Bohemian Rhapsody. I'll probably see it. I don't really know enough about Whitney to care about this, but I don't know. We'll see. I got to see a preview first.
Yeah, I think that's a big teller with biopics.
Yeah, like I'm very much looking forward to Jennifer Hudson's Aretha Franklin movie.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that's gonna be wonderful.
That looks off the fucking charts good.
Yeah, Jennifer Hudson's awesome.
Great choice. My God, she's got the range to take on Aretha's songs. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, that's a good call.
Oscar-nominated actress Shirley Knight has died at age 83 from natural causes. She had been nominated for her performances in 1960's The Dark at the Top of the Stairs and 1962's Sweet Bird of Youth. She also appeared in As Good as It Gets as Beverly. And I don't know her. I'm sorry. I don't remember her performances. It's a shame. I guess I'll have to check out some of her stuff. Chris Pine is set to star in a reboot of The Saint, helmed by Rocketman director Dexter Fletcher. He'll be filling the shoes of Val Kilmer, who appeared in the 1997 remake of the classic 60s TV show starring Roger Moore. Again, I don't care.
Yeah. Maybe if I have a lot of extra time.
I don't know why The Saint is something they keep trying to make work.
Neither do I. Who's at the door like, yeah, we need that.
Like 3 times now they've tried with The Saint. I don't understand. Next up, HBO has announced a Hellraiser series, with the pilot being helmed by Halloween director David Gordon Green. So, very interesting, especially since they're also doing a remake of Hellraiser. So, I didn't know the Hellraiser fan base was that big to warrant a remake and a TV show. But we'll see, I guess.
Yeah, I'm not, again, not something I'm that, excited for,
Well, I think you're going to be excited for this one.
Okay, let's hear it.
Karen Kusama is apparently helming a Dracula reboot for Blumhouse.
Oh, wow. How about that?
As part of their Monster Universe initiative started by The Invisible Man.
Okay, cool.
Sebastian Stan is campaigning for the title role of Count Dracula.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, that's really cool. I like that a lot.
Great,
Kusama?
Yeah, Kusama. Great fucking choice for Dracula.
Yeah, holy shit.
God.
Yeah,
that could be creepy as fuck, dude.
She's the fucking man. Yeah, hell yeah.
Finally, we could finally get a good Dracula movie.
Which we need. Yeah, at this point, with all these, these things being rehashed, that's something that properly needs it.
Blumhouse now doing all the Universal classics. Perfect.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Jason Blum. I love you.
You are the man. You've done. That guy has done so much for horror.
He really is. He's just like, let's just keep throwing money at shit, man. Let's keep the horror pumping, dude.
Keep it alive.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Finally, and this was weird, Straight Outta Compton actor Jason Mitchell was arrested on drugs and weapons charges. Cops found 2 pounds of marijuana, 1,300 doses of ecstasy, an AK-47, and a Glock 9mm in his car.
Whoa.
He claims the whole thing was a misunderstanding. But he is looking at possession with intent and possession of a firearm by a felon. That is hard time. Like,
oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to have that AK-47 in my car. That.
1,300 doses of ecstasy. What the fuck was he? What was he planning? Jesus
I don't know.
Christ.
He's gonna host his own Coachella, I guess. I don't know.
I don't see this guy getting. I think he's going away for a while. I don't see how he gets out of this one.
That is insane.
Fuck. 2 pounds of weed, 1,300 doses of ecstasy, a fucking AK, and a Glock. What in the fuck, man?
Yeah.
And he's like, that's not mine.
Yeah, it's a misunderstanding, man. Oh, that's not mine. Yeah.
God damn. Well, that is all for this week, or for today, folks.
What a note to end on.
I know, right? Check out Gangs of New York on Friday. Next week, we're checking out a film that's on a lot of horror fans' minds right now during the pandemic. A coma patient in London wakes up to find the city completely deserted and soon realizes a man-made virus has wiped out most of the UK's population and turned them into rage-filled zombie creatures. We're digging into one of the most realistic zombie movies ever made and a personal favorite of mine, 2002's 28 Days Later. Don't miss it. And also, let's get real for a bit. Seek out psychiatric help if you or your partner is suicidal or having suicidal thoughts. Help is always available. You should never think it's weak to ask for it. These times especially, it's tough to lean on people. Stay safe out there, listeners, and we'll see you Friday.
Peace.